So Travisa Financial, we are a company that serves first-time home buyers better than anyone with our innovative loan programs. We are striving to make homeownership a dream come true for everyone. One of those innovative programs that is our specialty is our EEP program. So this program allows for 3.5% down for ITIN, non-permanent resident, DACA, and of course just your, US citizens. But it allows for low and no credit scores. So it's a 580 credit score and no credit scores. We just require an extra alt trade line if you have some home buyers that don't have any credit scores. We have our 3-month bank statement program, and we allow the 3-month bank statements on self-employed, 1099, wage earners, gig workers, people that receive tip income and write it all off. And so the 3-month bank statement program is a really great program for those people that just have a little bit of a harder time, showing their income through tax returns. We also have our no source or seasoning of funds to close. There's a lot of people out there lately that they just do not feel comfortable with the financial institutions right now. And so they keep a lot of money at home, mattress money in the safe. And we allow those no source or seasoning of those funds. Bankruptcies are okay as well. So with bankruptcies, you can start the loan process and be currently in your bankruptcy. And if it's just Chapter 7, we just ask for documentation of the discharge 1 day prior to closing. We accept all property types that FHA allows, and seller contributions up to 6%. So this really allows the homebuyer to come in with minimal funds, having the seller bring in a good amount to help offset everything. So the government entity is what allows this program to really work and make it happen. A government entity purchases a home that is selected by the home buyer. So the home buyer gets to go out and pick the home, put that home under contract, pay their earnest money, and then there's an assignment addendum that is signed by all parties, the home buyer, the seller, and the government entity, which is a tribe. And that assigns the contract over to the tribe. The tribe completes the FHA financing to purchase the home. Simultaneously, while the tribe is closing on the FHA loan, your home buyer is signing a homeownership finance agreement. There's a memorandum to that agreement that is recorded on title, and this is what secures the home buyer's interest in that property. They can pay it off, or they can go ahead and assume the loan through the FHA assumption at any time. There's no prepayment penalty. And when they do sell it, all of the equity is theirs. So for qualifying the borrowers, we have, again, many types from 3.5% down ITIN to the 3 months bank statements for self-employed, W-2, 1099 seasonal gig workers, tips that aren't claimed. We have gift funds that are allowed. The gift funds can also be pooled, and 12-month history for verification of rent, which has some flexibility to it depending on their particular situation. If they are renting from family right now and they currently don't pay rent, maybe they help out with utilities or work around the home, groceries, we can actually accept a letter of explanation stating that they don't pay rent and maybe what they do instead, and we can go ahead and use that in lieu of a verification of rent. There's definitely a competitive market out there for ITIN, although if you look at the comparison, we beat our competitors in down payment amounts, in number of bank statements required, max DTI, and our credit scores, especially with our no score program. So Travisa Financial is definitely out there to to take over the market with our EEP program and our ITIN borrowers. We also have a lot of support. We have support from a dedicated email address. We have a phone line that is there to support you with any sort of questions that you may have. We also have our account executives, Ben Slayton and Norma Summers, and they're amazing. We have a great operations team that is here to help support you, guide you, walk you through the start to end, the entire process and functionalities of TPO Connect. So only a great support system here for you. So now it is time for our Q&A. As I had mentioned, our chat box is closed. And so if you wanted to put in a question, we have our Q&A box, or you can raise your hand and we can go ahead and go over your questions. Okay, so we have a question. What makes someone not qualify for a standard FHA loan but qualify under this EEP program? So for instance, credit score. Credit score is always a big one. You have to, run your FHA loan through AUS and you need to get an approved. And there's a lot of companies out there that do not do manual underwrites. And so this program will allow for the manual underwrite. We also allow for DTI 50 over 60. And so DTI is huge. Also, ITIN is huge with only 3.5% down. So those are just to name a few. Great question. Thank you. I have another question here. The borrower has been a wage earner for 8 months, however, was self-employed in the same line of work prior to this. Is this acceptable? Yes. So we do like to see 2-year work history on the 1003, just like a traditional FHA loan. Although we only require them to be employed at the same job for 12 months. If there is the situation where if we're at 8 months and they were self-employed prior to that, then that is definitely something that we can make work and get an exception, especially because they've been there for longer than 6 months. So yeah, that is a great question. I have another question. Is this a non-QM product? It is somewhat of a non-QM product, but it is more of a specialty product. So if you wanted to reach out to me later, or you can even discuss this, but as I was mentioning, this is a program that allows for a homeowner to go and make an offer on a home. They put the offer in, they put the earnest money in. This is the home that they want. This isn't just a home out there where somebody is offering to sell or finance it. This is the home that they want, that they've handpicked out. And then there is an assignment addendum agreement that is signed by the home buyer and by the seller and by our government entity, which is a tribe. The tribe actually takes out the FHA loan for the home buyer, but simultaneously the home buyer is signing a homeownership finance agreement that is recorded on title. The memorandum is recorded on title. So not only do they have their interest secured with that memorandum being recorded on title, but they also do get a 1098 interest form at the end of the year. So they're able to write off the interest. They're able to do whatever, the luxuries of being a homeowner includes, making the home theirs, painting it, and, doing the yard. And these are all things that they do not need to get permission from the tribe. And so it's something that there's not a prepayment penalty. So at any time they can sell the home and all the equity is theirs. Or they can, if they're in the position, they get to the position, they can do an FHA assumption, put the FHA loan in their name. And then, of course, if rates have gone down, they can do an FHA streamline and take advantage of the lower rates at that point in time. So I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, then, we can definitely touch base and go over any other questions that you might have. One thing that I wanted to bring up today specifically is home inspections. So home inspections are required on properties that are built in 1979 or older. And so if you have a property that is in that age range, we do require a home inspection. The other time that a home inspection is required is if your appraisal comes back and the condition is a C4 or higher. So in these two cases, I would strongly suggest getting the home inspection as soon and as early as possible, because when we submit it over to our underwriter, there may be repairs that need to be made prior to closing. So we really want to get that information up front, get those repairs started and going, so that we're not waiting last minute and then having to, try to get extensions and possibly delay closing. So that's something that I think is really important to bring up. Okay, I have another question. I have two loan files that both have co-signers. One will occupy, one will not occupy the other loan. Do you have LTV restrictions? No, we do not have any LTV restrictions on non-owner occupying co-borrowers. Sorry, that was a mouthful. So yep, no LTV restrictions on that at all. There are also no hits to the interest rate for credit score, loan to value, any of those things that you traditionally will see hits to your rate. There are no hits to the rates for those type of things. Okay, I have another question. How do I calculate income with bank statement loan? What is the calculation when he sent me his personal bank statements? So of course, there's going to be a few factors here. Is he self-employed or is he W-2? If he's W-2, then of course we're going to look at all of the applicable deposits from the employment. If he's W-2'd, such as in a position that also receives tips, and we can determine those tips, then we can add those in as well. And then the 3 months bank statements is added up and divided by 3. For self-employed, there's a few different options. So for self-employed, there is a standard 45% expense fee, and that is deducted out of your. Oh, that is completely fine. If they're self-employed, but they only use personal a bank account, that's completely fine. But we will add up all of the deposits that are related to the business, and typically including a letter of explanation explaining the business and all of, just giving the underwriter a little bit more of an explanation as to what their business is and what it entails. But there's a standard 45% expense deduction. Now, we also have a tiered ratio option. So it requires a little extra documentation, but it depends on whether or not your home buyer is service related or product related, because we definitely know that each one of those classifications have more expenses versus another one. And so we're willing to look at those different scenarios as well. And how many employees they have, how much product they need to buy. And we have ratios that can go anywhere from 0% expenses to 25% in expense deduction. If we just kind of lay it out and explain a little bit further the ins and outs of their business and make it make sense. Good question also. So just a reminder, we also have the same webinar on Mondays. We have it's a part of our EEP Power Up. It's our scenario Mondays, but of course, you can join to ask any questions you might have. Bring your realtor partners, bring your processors, your loan officer friends. This program is amazing. It's very unique, and it's really helping a lot of home buyers get into the homes that they deserve. Do I need to take a full application before I can submit it? Yes. So we need to have a full application. Of course, the basics of, your assets can be left blank, because that is something that we can always verify later if, you're confident that they have the assets. But it doesn't need to be, it can be a TBD application. And so doing the TBD application with your credit report. If you have the citizenship documentation, whether they're ITIN or US citizen, and then the income documentation. Those are the items necessary in order to get a pre-approval. We can always worry about the verification of rent and the assets later if it's something that you're getting any sort of maybe pushback from your home buyers. Oh, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. I love all the questions. So I have a situation where the borrower who has an ITIN and wants to apply with his parents. Parents had work permits, but were denied for a renewal. Is that possible? Okay, so it is possible if they have a ITIN or a social security number. And if it's not valid anymore, that's something that if you wanted to email me in the documentation you have, I can probably within a day or two get a quick answer onto if it's going to be acceptable or not. So I think breaking it down a little bit further, the work permits, do they have an EAD card? Do they have a social security number that was for work purposes only? Just kind of if you want to email me the entire breakdown of the scenario of their documentation, I can go ahead and get an answer, a solid answer from the head underwriter on whether or not that's going to work. So let me go back to, you could email to the EEP questions at travisafinancial.com, and then I could get started on that for you. And after doing a lot of research, you know, we do have the 45% expense ratio, or the expense factor. From a lot of my research, most of it is anywhere from 50 to 60% expense ratio. And so 45 is definitely, you know, trying to get competitive there. But if the 45 still doesn't work out for you, that's where we have the tiered. And if you guys want to reach out to that email address and you want to see the breakdown of the tiered and what's required, just shoot me an email and I can send out the requirements and exactly what the tiered are for either the service or the product based. Okay, so can a buyer use this product if they own another home as a primary? Yes. Although we do need a motivation letter as to why they're vacating their current primary residence. That, and if they are going to end up renting it out and not selling the home, then we can use rental income to help offset and qualify. It's pretty traditional 75% copy of the lease and the deposit. So they can definitely do that. Motivation letter is going to be key. That's going to be the number one thing that we're going to need. And then what alternative credit can be used besides rent and utilities? We also allow child support payments. If they're in a bankruptcy, we could take bankruptcy payments. So traditionally, if they have a 580 score or higher, then we always are going to need the verification of rent. And then on top of that, it's just one trade line. So with that one trade line, you're going to get, you know, cell phones, utilities, auto insurance payments, you know, some of the other few that I mentioned that everybody might not have access to. And then if you have a no score, then we need the verification of rent and 2 alt trade lines. And so so they're pretty wide and far open regarding what we'll accept. You know, there's I know sorry, I know there's a few other things, but I just can't remember them right now. So if that's something you would like a list out, please send me an email and I'll give you the full complete list. Okay, well, I am so glad you guys joined us today. And again, the phone number and the email right here. If you have any other questions or want any other information emailed out to you, then please send a message, and we all look forward to working with you guys. So have a wonderful day, and let us know. Thank you. Bye.